2 steps forward, 98 back. The Manly Sea Eagles have apologised to basically everyone after unveiling a pride jersey.
We wish to sincerely apologise for the mistakes we have made.
Man on a mission, the PM makes a bold promise in the first sitting week of the new parliament.
There's a lot of unfinished business to do. I intend to not waste a day.
Plus, what are the ethics of viral videos? Do TikTokers need consent forms? We're only covering the big and the small topics in news. I'm Georgie Tunny.
And I'm Rowdie Walden.
And this, hang on a second, you're not J-Law.
No, I do look a bit like him though, like the dollar store version of him, don't you reckon?
You actually do look a little bit like J-Law.
If I shave or push my hair back.
Have you ever been in the same room?
Never.
You sound quite different, though, to J-Law, so that's okay for our listeners.
The dollar store version.
No, I don't believe that at all.
He's much more handsome than I am.
Well, once again, Flash drivers, you may have picked up that Rowdie Walden is here, not James Law, because has he survived Splendour in the Mud? I don't know.
Is that where he's been?
That's where he's been.
Oh, he's never returning.
He's never returning.
He's lost in a mud hole somewhere.
I mean, I checked in on him on the first day. That was cancelled. And he seemed like pretty optimistic still that he was going to have a great weekend. And he's like, I've got gumboots. I'm going to be fine. And I was like, sir, horrible.
Underprepared. Gumboots were not enough to survive that.
Would you consider yourself a camper, Rowdie Walden?
Oh, hell no.
No.
I think there's only one way to do Splendour, and that is build yourself up as an influencer and then get a brand to take you along in a house and then have a bus that picks you up and takes you home from Splendour.
Well, because you don't actually, this is a confession, Flash drivers, we're getting to know Rowdie a little bit early in the podcast, but you actually don't love music.
I hate music.
Yeah, what the hell? You're the only person I know on earth who is just like, I hate music.
I know that's a controversial opinion, but I just don't, it just doesn't do it for me. I'd rather sit in silence. Wow, that makes me sound like a psychopath.
It really does.
But I feel like I could get swept up in something like Splendid in the Grass, but I could very easily not, because you're like, great, Jack Harlow or whoever's cool at the moment. Yeah. And then you have to go home and sleep in a tent full of water.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I know.
absolutely
You're never
not.
going to be clean. And I don't care the first shower, like proper shower you have when you return from the Splendour in the Mud experience, you're still not going to be clean.
Actually, it's worth it just for that feeling, I reckon.
Really?
That feeling of like showering after not showering.
Oh, God. No, you're just really living up to the psychopath title that you've given yourself. But anyway, let's resume. I'm Georgie Tunny. He's award-winning podcaster, producer, and just so happens to be my bestie, Rowdie Walden. And this is Flash Drive. Rowds, we're going to begin on Sydney's glamorous northern beaches, where things turned ugly after 7 Manly players decided to sit out of their crucial clash with the Roosters this week over a jumper.
Sea Eagles have gone into crisis mode as some of the club's top players threaten to boycott this week's game over the design of a jersey.
Not fighting about who's playing what position. They're not fighting about a coach or technicalities. They are fighting about wearing a T-shirt. And
I certainly hope that this is resolved. It's a good thing that sport is more inclusive. It's important that in Australian society we respect everyone for who they are.
The PM, Anthony Albanese, weighing in on the drama at the end there. Rowds, what was your first reaction to this story?
Okay, I think it's funny.
You think this is funny?
It feels like something out of an ABC Utopia episode.
Okay. Yeah.
How do you get to the point where their jerseys are designed, printed, and then distributed and are up for sale on their website with no one agreeing to it? Like, is it just some intern at the Manly Sea Eagles that's gone, oh, yeah, I'll make a pride jumper and then we'll give it out to everyone?
This will be great, marketing-wise, amazing.
Like, how did it get to this point?
Yeah.
To then have to come out and be like, oh, sorry, actually, no one knew about this. That is so stupid to me.
Do you think, though, that there was just a level of naivety here from the Sea Eagles, and we're going to get to, the NRL and as a whole soon, but is there a level of naivety here from the Sea Eagles that they should have been aware of what this could have created, like this huge furore?
In terms of like going back on wearing them?
Yes, but more so the fact that not consulting players and maybe having an idea of your playing group that based on religious beliefs, cultural beliefs, maybe you just want to give them a heads up? Or do you think that they were like, this is 2022, everyone should be behind a rainbow jumper?
Yeah, well, you'd assume that it's such a minor thing. It's not a giant, bumhole or rainbow pride flag. It's a very discreet gradient.
Options for the next jersey though. That could be there.
If they need a designer, I know Canva. But yeah, I think you're right. It's maybe there is a bit of naivety there to think that from whoever maybe thought that this would be a good idea, but it is. I think it just goes to show how rife homophobia is and toxic masculinity, that these players couldn't even bring themselves to just accept to wear them. There had to be an uproar about it. It couldn't just be, oh, I didn't know that was going to happen, but I'll just go along with it because I'm not homophobic and I'm not, I'm comfortable with myself as a man to wear this tiny little rainbow, which goes a lot further than having this uproar about it. For young queer kids or, any young kid that has to live in this world these days, just to be able to see that not be an issue, but the fact that we've now made it this big issue in the media is even worse.
Well, the intention behind the jersey was one that was meant to be inclusivity. It's meant to be celebrating everything that brought us together, not divided us, all those differences and nuances. And this was the Manly coach, Des Hasler, explaining that yesterday during his very long apology.
The intent of the rainbow colour application of our jersey was to represent diversity and inclusion. For all, utilising the symbolic colours of pride to embrace all groups.
That sounds pretty simple though, Rowds, right? It seems like something that everyone should be able to get behind. Before we go further, I want to get your thoughts as a member of the LGBTQIA+ community.
Who said that?
Me. As a member, I just want to know what your thoughts are with, do you love sport? What's your feelings about sport?
Look, I couldn't care less about it, but I also understand that, there are definitely closeted players that are on the field at the moment. There are definitely kids in cities or remote towns who live around this football culture that have to watch it with their parents or have to mask themselves to be part of this. And I think we do these acts of pride and we do these acts of solidarity for those kids. And it's not saying, it's less so about those players saying, oh, I'm not gay, I'm not going to wear it. And it should be more about them saying, it doesn't matter who you are. Everyone should feel comfortable. And I think, it's pretty toxic to... no one's saying wear that rainbow jersey because you're gay.
No.
They're saying, hey, this is
not
a nice...
hidden asterisk somewhere.
Yeah, it's this is a nice act of solidarity for people who are transgender, who are queer, who are lesbian. It's not about you.
No, and I have to say that I was actually ignorant in a way as a rugby league fan. The first thing I saw when I saw the Sea Eagles jersey, the Pride jumper, was, oh my God, where's the Broncos one? I can't wait to buy one of them.
Yeah,
That'll be great. And then I thought,
what's the same colour?
Same colour. But I thought, why isn't there a Broncos one? Why haven't I had one before? And then I was like, hang on a second. There actually isn't a round or a game celebrating pride, celebrating that solidarity within the NRL. And I think that it was just remiss of me to forget that. I thought that the game that I love was far further along than it is.
Yeah, so you're basically, the culture of that sport doesn't align with your values. And I think that's what we're really seeing here, is that as a society we've moved along, but this toxic business in the locker rooms is still shit and still happening. And I don't know the Manly Sea Eagles, surprise, surprise, but I had a quick look at the players and it's quite diverse. There are people there that are white. There are people there that are from, correct me if I'm wrong, Samoan backgrounds.
Polynesian backgrounds, the Pacific nations,
There are transgender people in our community, but there are also Fafane, who are the third gender people of Samoan cultural background. So it feels... it'd be nice to know who these people are, because I don't think you can say that, whatever background you're from, that you take such a strong stance when, I don't know, maybe, I feel like what I'm trying to get at is I feel like religious and cultural background as an excuse is so worn thin, and I just don't buy it anymore.
Well, so this was another part of the press conference held earlier this week, the apology from Des Hasler, the Manly Sea Eagles coach, and also Daly Cherry Evans, the captain, who did go to some length and was trying to make sure that, you know, he was hoping that maybe this could become a positive thing. He said, I will be proudly wearing this jumper. It's going to be up to those teammates whether or not they get on board or not in the future. But he also said something which is in line with what we're talking about, whereas like, and I think it's reason for where Manly has gone wrong in this whole thing. This was Daly Cherry Evans.
Stuff like this isn't a topic of conversation, unless put in a situation. So we're experiencing a lot of things for the first time as a playing group.
Stuff like this isn't a conversation till you're going through it. If that is just not
the weakest take in the world.
Well, but also it just goes back to that's the issue then.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem.
Yeah.
That's the whole mistake that you've made.
That these conversations aren't happening.
Yes.
It's like when, the ex-Prime Minister Scott Morrison said that he had to consult Jenny about the Brittany Higgins or the Grace Tame situations.
Yes.
It just goes to show them, it goes to prove what bubble they're living in. Mm-hmm. And like you were saying before, that you don't now align with these views of a sport that you really love.
Well, I'm just disappointed.
Yeah.
As a fan, I was just so disappointed that in my mind I had constructed this different reality for rugby league, because there is a huge part of the cohort that is supportive of Pride Round or a Pride Jumper, and I'm sure that they would be really hoping that that could be something that is introduced to the game next year. But was
this going to be the first Pride Round ever?
Well, it's not even Pride Round. Oh. This is the thing. So everyone's up in arms. These 7 players. I am upset that they weren't consulted. I think that was a huge oversight and misstep by the club for not, and maybe just showing as well that they don't have the right people behind the scenes that could be that voice for these 7 players as well, to be like, oh, hang on, maybe we need to actually think about this further because this could raise some issues. We need to start the conversation, a conversation that, according to Daly Cherry Evans, hasn't been had.
Back on the jersey.
Yes.
Very minimal little mark.
Yeah, tiny.
You almost couldn't even tell that it was Pride related. Yeah. Which is quite different to the French professional rugby club.
Yes.
Who wear a jersey that's emblazoned with the Grinder logo.
Do they?
For their 2021-22 season. Big, massive black and yellow Grinder logo. And if you don't know what Grinder is, it's a gay sex app. And they're an all-male team rocking around with a,
Well, so this is the thing. There are examples like this where it can be done so well and no one thinks of it. The fact that this is such huge news is just, again, detriment to rugby league not being like where they need to be. But also a reminder that, there's no openly gay players in the rugby, in NRL. There's no openly gay players in AFL. There's no openly gay players, as far as I know, in the Super Rugby. There is one in the A-League. So can you see there being a time where this isn't major headline news?
No. I also, for the gross part of it, that, we froth on it, don't we? This has been all over social media and all over the news. Maybe one day there'll be a big expose into the toxic culture in the NRL and the AFL, but I'm sure that there are players that are having to hide and mask themselves in those teams at the moment.
I just hope that there will be space given for these 7 players and everyone else in rugby league who may be thinking similar thoughts to them to learn and just learn that humanity. Yeah. Because, of course, your faith and your religion can be central to who you are as a person.
Doesn't mean you can't be accepting, though.
Well, that's the thing. Because I feel like isn't there so many more similarities than differences when it comes to this debate then? Who could possibly be thinking about who could possibly relate to what it's like to be marginalised?
But also, don't you think that, as a society, we're much further along? If you walked into Flash and they were like, hey, Georgie, can you wear this rainbow pin? It's Pride Month. Or, we're going to change
I'd be like, oh, sure, I'll paint myself rainbow. What do you want?
Yeah, we're going to change the lower thirds to be more inclusive or something. You would just be like, oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but then this was such a big moment for me of reiterating that, actually, we're not as far as forward as I thought that we were.
Yeah, maybe we just live in a little gay bubble.
Well, and it's a happy one. Everyone, get on board. Get on board. But I also think that another aspect to this, which was particularly sad for me, was that Ian Roberts, who is the only openly gay rugby league player who came out while he was still playing the game. And that was 2 decades ago probably. I grew up watching him. He's a Manly legend, and then had to, listen and watch what was going on yesterday, the press conference. And this was his take, and he kind of alludes to the fact that we definitely aren't where we think we are.
Obviously, Pride Round is all about inclusion and diversity and welcoming, creating an atmosphere of making the LGBTIQ plus people in this community feel worthy. So it was disappointing, but I've got to be honest. I was surprised this pushback didn't come earlier.
So he's obviously saying that from his lived experience being in the club.
Yes.
Surely it's got to say something about the Manly culture that...
I don't think it's just Manly though.
No, but that this is now happening at the team that he used to play for?
Yes, yes.
Maybe there's something
There's a
really
breakdown
toxic.
in educational programs. There has to be. And it really does pull my hair out because the amount of education...
But is it the club's responsibility? I don't think it is.
I think yes, in this sense, it is. Because whereabouts would, those players maybe have this access to education.
I think you're giving them too much credit. Do the work.
But they don't know that they may not know that they need to do the work.
Well, I think that this is a sad reality for them to learn this week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's up to anyone else to teach or prove you something. If, I'm sure there have been instances in both of our lives where we've said something and someone's called us out and we've gone, oh, actually, I was so ignorant towards that.
Yes.
And it's not the minority's responsibility to teach you or an institution's responsibility to tell you that you're wrong.
Yeah. And I think that was touched on by Daly Cherry Evans later on in the press conference because he was asked whether or not he hoped that or he could feasibly see NRL-wide Pride Round. Yeah. And it was something that he said, I think that this could be great. It's going to change conversations, but also it may, if people are willing to open up and embrace those conversations, then jump on board. If they're not, then that's going to have to be their own issue. Yeah. And I think that takeaway for the NRL is something really important. Yeah. And I know that it is something that the chairman of the ARL, Peter V'landys, is for. He would love to see more inclusivity within the code. And let's give the final word for him because I think it is more hopeful with where the sport could go considering how damaging this has been for it.
Yeah. Knowing that the game of rugby league welcomes gay people like any other person is a good thing. And, I don't want kids thinking to themselves, just because I'm gay, I'm different. You're not. You're a human being. You should have strength. And so if the debate is, if it's done, the only positive I can see out of this is that they shouldn't be worried or scared to come out or do anything. You're no different to us. If you think you are, you're not. We're still 100% the same.
Well, we'll go. We'll buy tickets and we'll go.
Oh my God, I would love a Pride Round. As I said, it's like, this is the thing. I just couldn't believe it. I was like, how am I so dumb? How have I never been to a Pride game? I'm like, oh, because they haven't existed. Yeah. I was like, oh, classic. Remember, Flash drivers, if you're loving the podcast, let us know. Subscribe and leave 5-star reviews. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Everyone needs to be across the news of the week. Moving on now because Parliament is back and it's actually the most diverse we've ever seen it. Albo kicked things off with an impassioned recommitment to the Uluru Statement from the Heart.
What the Uluru Statement from the Heart represents is an opportunity that must be seized, because if it isn't seized, it will be lost and we will be diminished.
So promises to enshrine an Indigenous voice to Parliament, promises to take a harder line on climate change action and legislation, more women than we've ever seen in the houses, Rowds. Is this the case of, yay, we're getting somewhere? Or is it a case of this may be too good to be true?
No, I definitely think it is a yay, we're getting somewhere, but it's probably heightened after the last government that we've had, after not moving the bar for such a long time. And yes, we had really bad floods and fires and COVID that probably impacted a government's ability to make change. But, you know, day one of Parliament sitting and there's a climate change or a climate bill
getting debated. Yeah.
Like it does feel like, I don't know, a change is good as a holiday, right? And maybe this is just us looking at the new government with rose-tinted glasses. And I don't think you can ever tell, right, like how good it's going to go. It's only going to take another pandemic or another scandal for the cracks to appear. But I think at the moment it feels good, doesn't it? It feels like we're doing something.
Yeah, well, this is the promise that Anthony Albanese has made. He said he will not waste one single day.
Well, he was on that plane
government.
Before he was even sworn in.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I think that for the moment, his actions are speaking for themselves, and the government's actions are speaking for themselves. I think he's using his deputies incredibly well so that he can at least appear that he's across everything and that the government is across everything and that action is happening. Whether or not it actually will, I'm not sure.
Look, for the time being, I'm happy with a bit of smoke and mirrors.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I'm just happy to be like, it's almost like when Trump left government and we had Biden.
Yes.
America was not in the news for months.
Yeah, no,
and it's just a nice feeling to know that you're employed and I just trust that you're doing your job.
Yeah.
Because if you weren't, I'd be hearing about it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, then by that same token, what at the moment, you know, a 30-year-old Australian...
Excuse me.
I know, more it's crazy listeners. I know, I've just aged, Ralph, but you are 30 years old. But a 30-year-old active citizen in this country, what do you now expect from the government? Or how do you see government? How do you see it? I know this is again, we've only got a few minutes to talk about this, but it is a big question.
How do I see it? I think it's hard to keep trust in the government these days. Like we've had so much inaction on things and so many things promised and they're not delivered. So I think it's just with caution.
Yeah.
You know, there's that old Australian, you know, tale of, you know, it doesn't matter who you vote in, they're all corrupt and they'll do whatever they want.
Yes.
Which is uttered, you know.
It's very unhelpful.
From pubs to train stations to offices, you know. Like, but I think that that's a safe way to go into electing a government. Like, I don't think that you want to be putting your blind trust in any party, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Do you believe that what Albo's preaching about there being conflict fatigue, there's not going to be any more of those petty politics and petty debates happening on the floor of Parliament House, do you believe that will happen?
I mean, from the last couple of weeks, they seem united, and his speech this week was, dare I say it, inspiring. He was moved to tears. I think it will be a moment that we look back on and say, wow, that was a bit of a defining moment coming out of what we've come out of, you know, climate tragedies, COVID-19 pandemic. It did kind of feel like a moment we might look back on and be like, yeah, this is the moment that we turned a corner in the country. And, you know, I'm a TikTok tragic. And most of the things that I've seen this week on TikTok are Americans reacting to his speech.
Really?
That have been going, oh my God, thank that Australia has turned around. You know, they're looking at us now as a progressive country, which feels nice.
Wow.
And whether that's a, you know, I don't know if you can put that down to a certain party or whatever, but, you know, the perception from other countries is that we're now, you know, back on the team.
Don't think it's too late?
Oh, it's way too late.
Oh, is it? I was like, no, give me hope.
Oh, for our image?
Yeah.
No, it's our image I think will be fine. Like,
Yeah.
he was out there spruiking Australia from the get-go.
Yeah, okay, but then what about, like, practically? Is it too late?
I just mean, like, it's too late for climate. It's way too late for the recognition of Indigenous people in the Constitution.
But are you buoyed that
way
things might be changing there? Do you think that we will actually get progress?
Oh,
Meaningful progress?
Absolutely, because I don't think that he'll be able to go back on his word and expect another win at an election.
Yes. I think so too,
So
because he has made it front and centre of every single speech, every single opportunity that he has had.
And whether you're, you know, political parties aside, I think we will see what he's promised happen.
Possibly someone that may, I mean, I'm just speculating here, but may go some way into upping the conflict in this non-conflict parliament that we are trying to embark upon. Pauline Hanson.
Yeah, big day for her.
Big day. Big day.
First day of parliament.
What's happened? What's happened?
Right, so they were doing the acknowledgement of country. So, like, look, we're in the first minute of parliament.
So the first thing.
Sitting.
Okay, yeah.
And she said,
I don't know this flash driver, so Rowds is bringing the news. He's breaking the news.
I've got the quote here.
Oh, no.
So partway through the acknowledgement of country, and Ngunnawal country being quite a divisive part of Australia, traditional Aboriginal land with a white government on. It's a big area, and you know it's a
tent embassies there.
Tent embassy. It's a very loaded area.
Yeah.
Senate President, Sue Lyons is delivering her acknowledgement to country. Hanson runs out of the room and she says,
"No, I won't, and I never will." And I walked out of Parliament.
But it's funny that she has been in the Senate.
She didn't say that, though.
She did.
She said that.
That's
those words.
Quote, unquote.
Oh, my God.
But she has before. She sat in the Senate when...
It's not new. It's not new.
But, like, I won't now and I never will. Babe, you were in the Senate last year.
Yeah.
And you sat through it. So, again, you're wrong.
Oh, my goodness.
You're lying.
What? Okay. So, it's spanner in the works already.
And I don't know if it's like, you know... I mean, she does love a bit of media attention.
Yes.
Our Pauline.
Yes.
But I don't know whether it maybe was spurred on by, like... a new slew of people in that she might feel threatened by, maybe. You know, there's a whole bunch of independents now.
Well, I would think that...
There's a whole bunch of new women.
Yes, I think that that's key to note too, is that Parliament's finally looking like the streets of Australia.
I mean...
Somewhat.
You know, if you had, you know, blinkers on...
Yeah.
And you just looked at certain people in the street.
But better.
It's looking better. It's looking better.
Whenever we discuss... Pauline Hanson, I always have to think flash drivers and reminisce on a moment that is very triggering and traumatic, I know, to our First Nations people. But when she was climbing on Uluru and then got
stuck
and then got vertigo or something, I just like, that serves you right.
Play the clip.
Play the clip.
I can't get down.
Oh, I can't get down. Flash drivers, look it up. Look it up.
But
wow.
Yeah, I mean, that was... it takes a real... whatever, moving on.
I want to know, would you ever consider going into government?
No, but I reckon you'd make a damn good Deputy Prime Minister.
Do you think? Why not Prime Minister?
Well, I
You've already demoted me. My ceiling is Deputy.
No. I'm looking out for you.
Okay.
I don't want you too stressed out. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, that's fair. Burnout.
Like a Penny Wong, maybe.
Oh, well, we love Penny.
You know, someone that's in charge. A Julie Bishop, perhaps.
Do you know so Penny Wong actually caused a bit of a stir when she reappeared in Parliament this week because she had her arm in a sling. And everyone was like, what the hell happened to Penny Wong? Apparently she hurt herself surfing.
Now, I would have never guessed that.
I know. I'm like, is there nothing she can't do? Well, she may not be able to surf properly because she injured herself. Hang 10 works.
Hang loose.
Yeah, hang loose. Hang loose.
Surfing.
Yeah, I know. And before we leave the Parliament chat, I just have to get your thoughts on, because there was one notable absentee from the floor of Parliament. The ex-Prime Minister, Scott Morrison.
Nowhere to be seen.
And he's still a sitting MP, yes. Remember? He's in Tokyo.
Which I thought was a very strange decision. Normally, when you lose an election as someone that's running for Prime Minister, you leave.
I think that he probably will.
Yeah.
I think that the writing is on the wall there.
Yeah.
But have you ever rocked up to a new job and not rocked up? Like rocked up a week late?
No, gosh, no. Oh, I think that is just like the worst work ethic ever.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, apparently,
he's got a backtrack of, you know, he's got a big.
Missing.
No. He's got a big.
Record?
He's got a long track record of never being where he needs to be.
It's true. So once again, maybe we shouldn't be surprised.
Where is he? Probably at a. Oh, who knows? One more thing on Parliament rejoining us this year.
Yes.
Rejoining for the year.
Yes.
God, I love how they swear in a new speaker.
How do they do it? Why do you love that in particular?
So there's a vote.
Yeah.
And whoever wins
Standard.
is then dragged to the chair kicking and screaming. And it's all a bit of a pantomime. Have you not seen it?
I actually have. I can literally picture the image now
Yes.
of like...
And they're all pretending like they're acting it
Yes.
out like it's a school play.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to go. And they're like, come on. I think it's so funny.
Doesn't that just show that everyone in that room would have been, and this is, I was, you know, a high school debater, but everyone in that room was part of a drama club or debate club, something growing up.
Absolute nerds. Also just like, how camp is it that they acted out?
Oh, it's so good.
I love it.
It's so good. Where's the Oscar?
Logie.
Oh, Logie. You're right. Love hearing us chew the news fat and analyse the biggest and smallest headlines each week? Of course you do. So make sure you follow us on the socials so you don't miss any content. We're on Instagram, Twitter and YouTube. Get on it. Okay, so Rowds, I've got a little bit of a admission here.
Right.
I've lured you here under false pretenses.
Nothing new.
Yeah, nothing new, flash drivers. But instead of this being a podcast, this is now an intervention because Rowdy has said to me before that he has finished the TikTok algorithm multiple times. How's the addiction going?
It's not going well. It's really not going well.
How many hours do you lose to the TikTok beast?
Georgie, it's become a real problem in my life. And this sounds so dramatic, but it's not. Even this morning it happened.
Okay.
I'm laying in bed at 7 o'clock and I think, I've got to get out of bed, got to get up and start my day.
Yeah. Up and at 'em.
7:02 comes, I think, I'll just have a quick look on TikTok. I haven't even got out of bed.
No.
And then I say
set
to
yourself up to fail.
I set myself up to fail. And I say to myself, okay, next bad one, I'll end it. I'm out. It's 8 o'clock all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And I say, fuck, now I'm really late. I'll say the next good one, the next one that satisfies me.
Yeah.
I'll end it there. And then so the benchmark of what I'm looking for out of TikTok constantly shifts.
Yes.
And I'm just stuck in this loop. And the problem with it is that it's not like any other form of media, where you can tell the quality of something before you start. You're on binge.
That's true.
And you're like, Sex in the City, you can see the picture, you can read the
You know
blurb,
what
you
it
know
is.
what's coming.
You know what's happening.
You're buying into it. On
Yes.
TikTok, they're so short, but also so long that you have to watch the whole thing to know whether you've been satiated or not, and to know whether it was worth watching. There's you don't swipe up and it says, hey, this one is worth watching. Have a little watch. You just have to sit through it.
You don't have to. You can leave at any time.
Have to sit.
You can
through
leave
it.
at any time, Rowdy Walden. There is not a gun pointed to your head. However,
I think I've restarted the algorithm.
you've restarted.
I've restarted.
Well,
it.
this is good because whilst I jest and I make fun of you for this addiction, I am actually very happy about it because you are my TikTok correspondent.
Great.
Official TikTok
a title
correspondent.
I'm happy to have.
Because I can't do the TokTik.
When you sent me one the other day, I was
know.
like, something's going on.
Something's happened.
She's downloaded it.
That's right, because I have to delete it because I do have an addictive personality and you lose hours, I would lose days.
Oh, Georgie, I can't even imagine
Days.
the things I've not seen or experienced because of TikTok.
Well, I want to get that expertise because there's something happening over the last few months, but I think it's really entered the mainstream media sphere in the last 3 weeks in particular.
And this is what happens, Georgie, when journalists aren't on TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I've been watching these videos for years.
Okay, good.
For months.
Why didn't you break the story then?
Because
You're on
I was too
TikTok.
busy on TikTok.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about the ethics of going viral because we are seeing so much content now and successful content for, I can only presume, successful TikTokers. I don't know what they're called, but TikTokers.
I think that's where the first problem lies,
Yeah.
is that it's successful not based on it being good content.
Okay.
So these videos are getting millions of views and millions of, lots of traction online.
Yeah.
Because the algorithm sees shares, which might be me sharing it to you saying, how ridiculous is this?
Yes.
Comments, and the comments might be, wow, this is great content, or the comment might be like, I can't believe you would do this. And it's seeing the likes, which is before they had the favorite function, a way that you could save the video to come back and see later.
This is like you are a TikTok correspondent because my head's just like, what? And we're talking about content that involves strangers or random people who haven't consented to being in the creator's video.
And so these videos are going viral because they're being engaged with. And that's not to say that, you know...
So it could be poor engagement, but it's still going to go viral.
It could be negative,
yeah.
and then it means it's surfaced to more people, so maybe it's fueling positive engagement, or it could be fueling negative engagement. And I think what we've seen with these weird videos recently is a lot of negative engagement, which has pushed them up in the algorithm. And so I think people see success in a type of format and they emulate it, because it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad, you're still racking up those millions of likes, you're still then racking up the followers, and you're still growing your audience on TikTok. And that's, I guess, what the whole idea is, that you grow an audience big enough for you to monetize.
Yeah.
And so these young kids are doing these weird, you know, random acts of kindness videos.
Yes, and this is the one. There was one in particular recently of a young boy. I don't know, he's probably 15. Can you call 15-year-old boy? Yes, a young boy who gives a bunch of flowers to an older woman who looks sad sitting by herself in a shopping centre.
Under a false pretense.
Under a false pretense.
He says, "Can you hold these flowers while I tie my shoe?"
Yeah.
And then walks off.
And she was
like,
like,
can I say, that's so annoying because it's such a lovely gift to be given flowers by a friend or someone, but you have to take them home. You've got to cut the stems off. You've got to find water. You've got to change the water.
Practically.
It is a nightmare to receive flowers.
Yep. So just at the base level, he's really fucked up her day.
Right. And then so in this instance, this woman finds this video and or someone sends it to her, and basically the way that it's edited and the music and the captions that are on it makes it out that this woman is
in need of a random act of kindness.
And a sad, lonely woman in a food court.
Yeah.
She was just having lunch.
Yeah.
She was minding her biz.
Yeah. And she even asked, I think, the guy's friend, "Are you recording this?"
And they lied to her.
Yeah. So this is just for a little background here for our listeners. From a TV producer's perspective, how much red tape is there usually just to get consent for people to be televised on a mainstream platform?
Well, number one, you normally don't film people that are featured without their consent.
Yes.
So say if I was filming you in Pitt Street Mall, the people in the background I wouldn't worry about because...
My favourite haunt.
People in the background I wouldn't worry about because they're so far away or they might be out of focus, so it doesn't matter. But if I was filming in a public space on one particular person, that's where this ethics issue comes in, because there's no consent that this person wants to be involved. And so normally it'd be a conversation where you would say, "Hey, we're filming this type of video, or would you like to be involved? This is what it entails." And you really have to spell out to these people what the end product will be before you can take their consent.
It's very time consuming.
There's a release form because this content can be made into TikToks, it can be made into Instagram Reels, it could go to television.
Yeah.
And I think the other problem with the ethics of it is that I've lost my train of thought, sorry.
That's okay. It made sense. It made sense up until then.
Up until then.
No, it did. But it's a good segue because when you're saying, there's a release form, there's all of this, so that would imply...
Oh, sorry. And the other... it came back to me.
Okay.
The other point of filming people in public is that that food court is not a public space. It's a business.
Yes.
So you shouldn't be filming in there. There's another...
yes, like how journos aren't allowed to film in airports unless they get, at times, written consent.
I got caught at Bondi Junction train station once, but that's another story. There's another form of this video going around where people discreetly pay for people's groceries.
Oh, yes. I've seen that too.
Yeah, which I think in this climate is actually a nice gesture, but it's when it's filmed that then it's like...
Does that take away your enjoyment consuming the content? Because it does for me. I find then that I become even more cynical.
No, because I never believe it, because it is cringeworthy to watch.
Yeah.
It's cringeworthy to watch because it's these privileged people assuming that you're lonely or that you're poor when you're just judging me based on what I look like. It's really cringe.
Yeah, I find that really odd. Isn't that enough for you to turn off TikTok? Turn off TikTok like it's a television.
No.
No. No.
Because you have to keep watching and then you're reading the comments about how cringe it is anyway.
How would you feel about you going viral in one of these videos? If someone targeted you...
Oh, I would
and then you were everywhere and you were like, oh, my God.
I would do exactly what the lady did, I'd go the full force of the law because, this might sound like I'm blowing smoke at my own ass, but as someone that makes money off myself, like I haul myself out as a writer and a presenter, you have then taken something from me that's my currency, right?
Yes.
And also I didn't agree to it. Like we always talk about consent in the bedroom, but I didn't want to be part of this.
Yeah. That's the real issue that I have with it, because you are essentially, but then also I'm that person that like used to love watching flash mobs and seeing people's reactions to it.
Yeah, but no one's having their space violated in a flash mob.
True.
They've all decided to take part in that dance, and the people watching are enjoying it because they're not being made fun of, and it really is being made fun of. You're making out that these people are old and sad for entertainment, or you're making out that they're poor.
Yeah.
It's gross.
So warning to TikTokers.
No one film me.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. Rowdie Walden, award-winning podcaster and producer. He'll come for you.
Have I signed a release form for this?
You haven't. We must continue. All right, Rouse, before we go, a quick shout out to an interview that Piers Morgan has actually done with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy this week on the platform. The war in Ukraine is ongoing, so this will be incredible access to one of the faces that's become so well recognised in this conflict. So don't miss that.
That'll be a good one to watch.
So everyone, watch that. It's on Flash. Can recommend. Rowdie Walden, thank you so much for joining me.
It's been your pleasure.
It really has been my pleasure. And for Flash drivers, so that they can have their pleasure extended, when can we see you next? What are we hearing you on next?
I mean,
Where are you?
If you haven't already, you can go and listen to my podcast, Look at Me,
Look at
the 20th anniversary of Kath and Kim.
Very pertinent. News out last week that they're doing like a reunion show. So this is very exciting. Yeah, this is really cool.
Oh, well, look, there you go. I'm on the money once again.
Yeah, you're just always on it. Always on it, bringing us the Pauline Hanson news and also Kath and Kim. What more could you want?
What more could you ask for?
Rowds, thank you so much. Will J-Law return next week, Flash drivers? Tune in.
With trench foot.
Yes. Tune in to find out. If you love listening to Flash Drive, remember to like, comment and subscribe. Just hit that button up there and you'll never miss an episode.